Full header of CYO basketball action, the championships for both the girls and the boys divisions. In the first game this afternoon here at CBA, we have the girls championship between St. Rose and St. Mary's, and my expert calling commentator for this game is Sharon Core, who coached St. Anne's to the championship last year. And Sharon, what can we expect in this opening ball game?
I think we're going to have a close game, interesting contrast in styles. St. Mary's is a very deliberate team. They will run when they get the opportunity. St. Rose likes to run.
I mentioned that you coached the St. Anne's team to the championship last year, and this year you faced both of these teams, so you certainly know that they're both quality ball clubs.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is St. Rose's only loss came to St. Mary's in the very first game of the season. They did not lose another game after that. In fact, I believe they only had one close game.
So we'll see if St. Rose can rally from that early loss and come back to win the championship this afternoon. We'll have the starting lineups in the opening tap coming up right after this short timeout. You're watching New Channel Sports on Cable 13.
Six seconds left. Lemoyne with the basketball. Hill, 3 seconds left. Jarebko from the corner.
Major college sports and more on Cable 13, the leader in local sports coverage. When you're looking for local sports, be it high school, collegiate, semi-pro, or pro, look to the leader, Cable 13.
Welcome back to Christian Brothers Academy. This is Dan Hort along with Sharon Core as we get to the first game of this afternoon's doubleheader. The championships of the CYO basketball leagues here in Syracuse. And as a matter of fact, the final championships of a long tradition. Kind of a sad day to many folks here at CBA.
It is for those of us who have been involved in parochial athletics. This is a rather sad occasion. Our junior highs are consolidating to form 4 rather than the 21 that we presently have.
On your screen, you can see the starting lineups, and as a matter of fact, the entire lineup for one of this afternoon's championship contending teams is being announced. The first team being announced is St. Mary's of Baldwinsville. St. Mary's comes into this afternoon's game with 11-1 record. They are coached by Shirley Pavetto, who is the dean of the coaches, of the women's coaches in CYO basketball.
That's correct.
We are getting to the starters now for St. Mary's. A team made up of 6th through 8th graders. And I was surprised looking at the lineups on the girls' side that there are very few 8th graders for both teams.
That's correct. St. Mary's has 4 8th graders. 2 of them, 3 start. St. Rose had 3 8th graders, and they all are part of the starting team.
Last year when you coached St. Anne's to the championship, you had quite a few 8th graders, and that turned around to haunt you this year.
It certainly did. It certainly did. I had 9 8th graders last year, and I lost those 9 plus 2 others that transferred, so it was starting from square one for us again this year.
Now we see the St. Rose starting lineup and a squad being announced, running through that bridge of cheerleaders. St. Rose appropriately dressed in white and rose-colored uniforms. St. Rose also with an 11-1 record this year. Their head coach is Pete Caroli. He's assisted by Alan Jones.
Pete has been at St. Rose for 5 years. Before he came to St. Rose, he was a very successful coach in the Utica area. He coached 6 years at St. Peter's of Utica and won 4 straight championships there.
And now we are getting to the starting lineup for St. Rose. Lynn Schreck taking the hand of the opposing coach and coming out to join her teammates. A nice gesture by all of the starting members of the St. Rose team. Taking a look at that St. Rose lineup, you can see that they appear to have a height advantage in today's game, and that could aid them in that running and gunning type of ball game.
They have, well, of course, for a run and gun, you need to have the rebounders in order to get the ball out on the court. But I am not going to sell St. Mary's short. They have a couple of good-sized girls.
And St. Mary's, as we mentioned before the ball game, did win an early season matchup between these two teams. Running down the starting lineups for both squads, for St. Rose, They have 3 8th graders in the starting lineup. Lynn Schreck, who will wear number 25, Janine Soltis, who is number 30, and Michelle Trait, number 20. Also 2 7th graders in the starting lineup, Michelle Meyer, number 13, and Anne-Marie Roach, who is number 31. For St. Mary's, their starting lineup consists of 3 8th graders and 2 7th graders also. The 8th graders are Catherine Butler, number 55, Celeste Clement, number 11, and Tammy Corella, number 23. The 7th graders, Denise Gray, who will wear number 44, and Rebecca Taylor, who is number 14.
The last time these two teams met was in the championship game in 1980. And the interesting thing is the present principal of St. Mary's School, Sister Rosemarie, was then principal of St. Rose. She told me yesterday that she's St. Mary's good luck charm.
She'll have to carry a banner for each team in a different hand. We see the opening tap, and it is controlled by St. Mary's of Baldwinsville. Racing up the far sideline was Celeste Clement, but the ball was tied up underneath, and we will have a jump ball at the foul line. Jumping for St. Rose, dressed in the rose and white uniforms, Janine Soltis. Karen Butler jumping for St. Mary's, and it's taken away by St. Rose and taken right back by St. Mary's.
Traveling call.
The officials in the girls' game this afternoon, Bill Closton and Jim Toole. St. Mary's bringing the ball up the court for the first time.
St. Rose.
St. Rose, pardon me. Lauren Schreck passed back to Anne-Marie Roach, whose long shot was quite a bit short, and rebounded by St. Mary's.
It's going to take a few minutes for these two teams to settle down. They're very excited. They've been excited all week. This is a big event for these kids.
That shot
fouled by
attempted
number 20.
Catherine Butler, pardon me, put up the shot, and she was fouled by Michelle Trait, who is number 20. And we will see Catherine Butler at the foul line to shoot 2. We are playing 6-minute quarters here in the CYO Championships. We have no score yet between St. Mary's and St. Rose in the opening game of this afternoon's doubleheader. Butler's second foul shot's good. It's 1-0.
Lynn Schreck, number 25, plays the swing position. She can play either guard or forward, and she's predominantly St. Rose's leading ball handler.
St. Rose had 2 attempts at the bucket. One shot blocked, 1 shot long.
St. Mary's number 11, Celeste, has really improved this year as a point guard. It's very interesting seeing, we see St. Mary's twice during the season, and there was a great deal of improvement with this team from the first to the second time that I saw them.
So far, St. Rose has been unable to get into that running and gunning type of style that they prefer. Here's Schreck. She's fouled on the arm. Celeste Clement will draw her first foul. Nice crowd in attendance this afternoon here at CBA, and I'm sure for the boys' game, we'll probably see quite a few fans file in.
Good steal by Celeste.
Dribbling into a crowd of St. Rose players.
Oh. Little bit of, girls are a little excited. St. Rose got back very rapidly on defense that time. Celeste should have held the ball up and waited for the rest of the team.
Schreck taps the jump ball to St. Rose. Soltis dribbling up the court. Shot a bit hard off the glass, and it goes out of bounds off of St. Rose fingertip. .428 left in the first quarter. St. Mary's up 1-0.
Another foul.
Looked like it was whistled on Michelle Meyer, number 13.
25.
That's Lynn Schreck picking up her first foul. Celeste Clement will inbound for St. Mary's. This is Rebecca Taylor with the ball, quickly working it around. Shot was no good, rebounded by St. Rose, but outlet pass taken away. Bryn Schreck with the first basket for St. Rose. And St. Rose leads 2-1. Denise Gray with it at the top of the key. Rebecca Taylor launching the jump shot. No good, but rebounded inside, and the basket will count. Catherine Butler with a good offensive rebound and putting it up for the basket.
She got good position under those boards and put the ball right back up.
Butler is the tallest player in the starting lineup for St. Mary's, and yet she is shorter than 2 members of the St. Rose team.
Yep. Tammy Carilla is pretty tall. I would think she's about 5'9".
Foul shot by Butler was no good. Rebounded by Schreck for St. Rose. Shot up in the air, no good. And rebounded by St. Mary's. Carilla came up with that rebound, but she was tied up underneath by Schreck, and they will jump it up at the foul line.
One of the problems with coaches that we've always had with tall girls is trying to break them of the habit of bringing the ball down. And that's what she did.
And a nice driving layup by Clement, her first basket. And it's a 5-2 St. Mary's lead.
And the pace of this game has not changed.
St. Mary's has showed an ability to run
Oh, yes.
in the early
They
going.
like to run. Actually, St. Mary's is very successful at playing either way.
And once again, Carilla tied up underneath
That was
by
a good
Catherine
call.
Butler.
Both players had the opportunity at that rebound.
And Marie Roach jumping up for St. Rose. She actually tapped the ball, but it goes St. Mary's way, but dribbled out of
St.
bounds.
Rose.
I think
Ball goes
Denise
to-
Gray may have touched it and knocked it out of bounds.
Very possible.
St. Mary's up by 3, 5-2. Loose ball underneath, rebounded by St. Mary's. And Celeste Clement, the 8th grader for St. Mary's, will dribble the ball up the court.
St. Rose going to bring their pressure out a little bit to half court.
Very noisy crowd here at CBA.
Steal by Lynn Schreck.
Schreck has already come up with a number of steals. Dribbles the length of the court. Shot just went around and fell out. And once again, tied up underneath. Lynn Schreck has been the dominant player so far for St. Rose. Few of her
She's
shots
their
just
high
rolling
scorer.
out.
She's averaged 13 points a game this year for St. Rose.
Scramble underneath, and once again, we will have a jump ball.
The boys this year went to the alternate possession and jump balls. I really see that happening in the girls' game. If not next year, most likely the year after that.
Janine Soltis with a huge height advantage, able to control the tap to Schreck, and she was fouled on her way to the basket.
At this point, St. Rose is having a difficult time getting a shot to drop for them. I think some of that is probably nervousness.
That foul was on Catherine Butler, her first.
Okay.
Good look at Lynn Schreck at the foul line, number 25, a right-handed shooter. And the first foul shot rolls in. It is 5-3 now. St. Mary's on top. Second foul shot a bit short, but rebounded by Soltis. Her try no good. Another attempt for St. Rose. The ball kicks out of bounds off St. Rose. Pair of substitutions for St. Mary's checking into the game for the first time. Number 10, Jackie Pogoselski. And also checking into the lineup, Pam Sousadale, number 11, and she has the ball. Oh, pardon me, those are St. Rose players. I identified the wrong team. I have to check that again for St. Mary's.
Good block by number 30.
And the foul called on Leanna Douglas, one of the 2 new players who checked in. Let me correct that. Douglas has checked in for St. Mary's. And also into the game for the first time, Diana Donahue, pardon me. 5-3, St. Mary's leads. Long shot in the air. This one is an air ball, but rebounded by St. Rose. Now Stoltis with a shot. No good. Rebounded by St. Mary's. And here comes Clement up the court. St. Rose again able to get back quickly. Tammy Carrillo was tied up nicely, and St. Rose will take over. Less than a minute and a half left in the first quarter. Very close game so far, as we expected. Both teams with 11 wins against just 1 loss this season. And another steal for St. Mary's of Baldwinsville. Here's Clement. Nice bounce pass in the lane. Shot no good. Rebounded for St. Rose. Here comes Soltis. Offensive foul.
That time Becky Taylor got down the court, assumed very good defensive position. Jeannie Soltis had her head down dribbling and dribbled right into her.
Diane Donahue at the top of the key. Nice speed in the lane. Shot no good, but offensive rebound is going to lead to a foul shot.
I believe that's 2 fouls on Lynn Schreck.
Donahue will be at the foul line for St. Mary's, her first trip to the line. And she will try to add to the team's 2-point lead.
45 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Nice looking foul shot. 6-3, St. Mary's leads. Got a little extra oomph on the ball. Diane stands about 6 inches behind the line and then takes a jump shot.
Line violation. Foul shooter cannot step across the line until the ball hits the rim.
So Lynn Schreck will bring it up slowly for St. Rose. St. Mary's has been in a 2-3 zone defense for the entire game so far.
Well, basically, I think they play more of a 2-1-2. It allows the center to move up or back according to where the ball is.
Foul whistled on Diane Douglas. St. Rose will inbound underneath its basket. Soltis with a strong move, and that pass
Very
is good.
strong.
6-5, St. Mary's on top. 24 seconds left in the first quarter. Leanna Douglas, her first bucket, and St. Mary's is up by 3 again, 8-5.
Good steal by Diane Donahue.
And the buzzer sounds, marking the end of the first quarter of play. St. Mary's on top after the first 6 minutes, 8-5, and a good close game so far.
It certainly is. There's been a lot of action. The girls are still nervous. It's going to take another quarter for them to settle down.
About midway through the first period, I saw Shirley Pavento, the St. Mary's coach, pull Celeste Clement, her point guard, over to the side and kind of put both hands on her shoulders, trying to settle her down a little bit.
Yeah, Celeste got a little upset because she felt she was fouled in the first quarter. When she brought the ball down and dribbled into traffic, she felt she was fouled and displayed it. Shirley took her right out to calm her down. It's a good move.
St. Mary's has been able to get some good use out of its bench so far. We saw the last basket of the quarter hit by Leanna Douglas, a 7th grader who came off the bench to get that basket. And so far, St. Rose has stayed with the starting 5.
Yes. Jeannie Soltis, I was very impressed with her. First time we played them very early in the season. And she moves very well for a tall girl. She has a lot of speed and good jumping ability. It is difficult for girls at this age when they are tall to keep after them, to get them off their feet. Jeannie has no problem with that. She really can get up there.
You mentioned one of the things that both coaches will stress for the taller players on the team is to not bring the ball down when they get it inside.
Exactly.
And that's something that Jeannie did
Right.
in the first quarter.
Right.
Taking a look at how these two teams advanced to the championship, St. Rose defeated Blessed Sacrament and then St. Vincent's to advance to this final, while St. Mary's of Baldwinsville knocked off St. James and then St. Anthony. Without the possession rule in the girls division, we will see a jump ball to begin the second quarter. St. Mary's leading 8-5.
And many throughout the game.
Clement came up with the ball off the tip. Jump shot no good, but rebounded by Douglas in the lane, and she's tied up
by Lynn Schreck.
That's correct. And Schreck will have quite a height advantage on this jump.
Yes. Good.
Schreck checked it to Jeannie Soltis.
Nice. Defensive move. Becky Taylor reached in and tapped that ball away, broke up the fast break.
Becky Taylor hasn't scored yet, but she's been very active defensively.
Exactly.
Schreck with a strong move in the bucket. And the foul.
Basket counts, I believe. It does.
Lynn will be at the foul line with a chance to tie the score. Foul shot on the way and perfect.
She's a very nice shooting style. Good form at the foul line.
I've also noticed that she has the ability to dribble with both hands very well for an 8th grader. Something I never mastered.
Me either, but I try to make sure that the kids that play for me do.
Douglas missed the jump shot. Diane Donahue fighting for the rebound for St. Mary's, and we'll see another jump ball. Donahue jumping for St. Mary's. Gretchen Meyer will go up for St. Rose. St. Mary's controls, but kicked out of bounds. Michelle Meyer putting it in. Meyer's first basket of the game, and St. Rose has its first lead at 10-8. Good man-to-man defense for St. Rose. Here comes Jeannie Soltis going the length of the court, and the shot's good.
She may have gotten away with a step there.
St. Mary's is going to bring a substitute into the ball game. Kathy Butler will check back in. She was in the starting lineup. Now a whistle and a foul, and it looks like that's going to be called on Michelle Meyer, number 13.
White 13, white 13. We'll make it foul.
Celeste Clement at the foul line. And now we see Kathy Butler checking in. Butler will replace Rebecca Taylor. Nice look at Celeste Clement at the foul line. And a nice looking shot.
Celeste is a good outside shooter. She runs the team very well.
And another violation on St. Mary's in the lane. It's cost them a couple of foul shot attempts.
Yes.
They trail by 3, 12-9 here with 4:30 left in the first half. Scramble underneath. St. Mary's comes away.
Jeannie Soltis had the first rebound but lost her balance. Gave the ball away.
Clement using the left hand to dribble the ball up the court. But that pass taken away by Schreck, and here comes St. Rose. Splitting the two defenders, Lynn Schreck. And she's fouled with a shot.
I think the foul by Diane Donahue.
It is Diane's second foul of the first half. And now a timeout is called by Shirley Pavetto and St. Mary's. I think Shirley was concerned that things might be slipping away a little bit. St. Rose starting to run effectively and pulling out to that 3-point lead.
Yes.
Lynn Schreck has been very tough defensively, coming up with a number of steals in the first half. The last time down the court, Schreck came up with a steal, dribbled 3/4 of the way down the court, and then launched that shot. And here we'll see how she's fouled on the way to the basket. Schreck using her body well to get into position.
Richmond.
You saw the defender bumping a little bit with a hip.
She might have touched her with the hand on the wrist as she was putting the shot up.
Diane Donahue was whistled for that foul, and Lynn Schreck, who's already been to the foul line a couple of times, will try and add to the 3-point lead for St. Rose. Lynn Schreck, not only a terrific athlete, but vice president of the student body at St. Rose, leading scorer this year, and a 2-year starter for Pete Caroli.
She'll be going to North Syracuse next year. I'm sure they'll be happy to see her.
I'm sure the coach of the girls basketball team will be. Foul shot no good this time, but rebounded once again by Soltis. Tied up, however, and we'll see another jump ball.
Between the tallest player in the court and the shortest.
As you would expect, the tall player won, but it didn't help St. Rose.
It's a good block by Tammy Carrillo.
Lynn Schreck tied up Celeste Clement, and those two players will jump it up. Michelle Myers really been tough defensively, pestering Clement, bringing the ball up the court.
Well, she's got good hands, and she moves her feet very well. One of the things all coaches stress is don't reach, move your feet.
Here comes Jeannie Soltis after taking the tap from Schreck.
3 seconds. St. Rose was in the lane a little bit too long. In women's basketball rules, the 3-second rule is a little different than boys. Girls can be in the lane for up to 3 seconds, and if they get the ball while they're there, they have an additional 3 seconds to shoot.
And that basket's going to count for Lynn Schreck. A good second effort. And St. Rose now has a 6-point lead, 15-9. When Soltis was called for the 3-second violation, she dribbled the ball into the lane. So does that mean that she would only have 3
She'd
seconds?
only have the 3 seconds,
But
I
if
think.
you receive it when you're in the lane, you get the additional 3?
That's right. I don't think it was called on her, though. I think it was someone else that had been in the lane before she got there.
Schreck adds the foul shot. It is now 16-9, St. Rose leading. A St. Mary's substitute checking into the ball game. Becky Taylor returning. Becky was in the starting lineup. And Diane Donahue will take a breather for St. Mary's. 3:11 left in the first half. St. Rose has built a 7-point lead at 16-9.
During the season, St. Rose averaged 39 points a game. It's quite remarkable seeing they only play 24 minutes. Almost blocked.
Nice ball movement that time, resulting in the open shot. And we'll see a jump ball between Schreck of St. Rose
And Tammy Carrillo.
and Tammy Carrillo of St. Mary's. Almost every time, Schreck has been able to tap the ball to Jeannie Soltis. Soltis getting off the shot and just
In
missing.
and out.
Looked like Becky Taylor was bumped in the eye or else had her glasses.
Becky Taylor
Look for
wears a special eyepiece. She is legally blind in one eye, and she must wear the safety glasses.
Wow, that's a remarkable story in itself.
Good rebound. Another jump ball. Mid-bit. Anne-Marie Roach.
Jumping up against Carilla. Tammy won the tap this time. Becky Taylor with a shot. She missed it, but she was fouled. Michelle Meyer will pick up the personal.
No, I think that's Gretchen. If you notice now, we have twins out on the court. 12 and 13 are identical twins.
There's also another Meyer sister, Erica, on the team, but she's a 6th grader.
Nice shot.
Becky Taylor with a foul shot, cutting the lead to 6 points at 16-10. St. Rose right around that scoring average, or at least on the pace for it.
They are.
Taylor with 2 foul shots at 16-11 now as Schreck runs the ball up the court for St. Rose. Collision and a foul will be called on the block. Leanna Douglas picks up the personal. Lynn Schreck walking to the foul line. Schreck, the co-captain of St. Rose, and the foul shot is good. Soltis and Schreck are co-captains, both 2-year starters. And the lead is back to 7, 18-11. I've been bringing it up quickly now. Racing past Meyer and bouncing the ball to Becky Taylor.
A little bit short.
And we'll see a jump between Kathy Butler and Gretchen Meyer.
St. Rose likes to take the ball right into the basket. St. Mary's at times is very comfortable shooting from the outside, and they do have some good outside shooters.
Looks like a foul was called on Jeannie Soltis. And once again, we will see St. Mary's at the foul line. Tammy Carilla will be shooting. And I believe she'll be taking 2 shots.
The foul might have been on Anne-Marie Roach. I thought Phil signaled 3-1.
Pete Caroli, the head coach of St. Rose, wants time. And so with 2:08 left in the first half and St. Rose on top 18-11, we'll have this short break. And we see the huddle for St. Mary's and Shirley Povetto offering instructions. One of Shirley's daughters is celebrating a birthday today, her 24th birthday, and Shirley was a little emotional before the game, with this being the final game for the CYO,
Yes.
the final championship, and also her daughter's birthday.
Well, Shirley has been in the parochial school system since, I think, 1970. I think she told me yesterday. She's been St. Mary's designated coach for every sport. She's been an extremely successful cheerleading coach. She's had a lot of success at basketball as well as soccer and track.
Before the game, you mentioned St. Mary's disciplined style of play, and I suppose that is a credit to her coaching, that you can take a team made up of 6th through 8th graders,
Right.
get them to play that disciplined style of basketball.
Tammy Carilla at the line. She has a rather unorthodox shot, but it certainly does work for her.
And banked the first one in. 18-12, St. Rose up by a half dozen.
Rebound by Anne-Marie Roach, and she's tied up by Katie Butler.
Butler wins the tap. And once again, tied up underneath. The tip-offs really take on a significance with the number of times that the ball is tied up underneath.
Yes.
And we will see Tammy Carilla go to the foul line, doing some nice work on the offensive boards.
Foul is on Anne-Marie Roach, number 31.
.156 left in the first half. St. Mary's trying to cut that 6-point lead to 5. First foul shot by Carilla, no good. That foul shot did not hit the rim, so St. Rose will take it out of bounds on the side. Michelle Meyer dribbling up court, passing to her sister Gretchen. Meyer's shot, very nice.
She has a nice outside shot.
And that was Michelle Meyer. 20-12, St. Rose leading. Michelle Meyer nearly taking the ball away. Now Leanna Douglas has it ripped out of her hands by Lynn Schreck, and here comes Schreck, nicely using the left hand.
Yes.
Shot hit the rim though, rebounded by Roach, and will have a jump ball.
Tied up by Becky Taylor. Here again, she brought the ball back down.
Bad toss by the official, and we'll have another jump. Bit better that time, and St. Mary's comes up with it. Here comes Clement, using her speed nicely and putting in the layup.
Some of the crowd felt that she might have turned the ball over, but it was not called, and Bill he had a good eye on it.
Excellent acceleration to be dribbling the ball and still outrun the defender.
Right.
20-14 now, St. Rose on top. Here's Michelle Meyer from her favorite spot, no good. And a foul whistled on Anne-Marie Roach. St. Mary's fans did not like the call one bit. Shirley Pavetta of St. Mary's really liked the call. She's up and applauding her team. St. Mary's hanging tough. At moments, it looked like they might fall behind in double figures, but they could cut the lead back to 6. Foul shot no good, though. And the ball rolls out of bounds off a, well, they're not sure who it went off, and we'll have a jump ball. Clement was fouled by Michelle Meyer, trying to split through the double team.
Michelle tried to hold her from getting through.
Jim Toole made the call, and Celeste Clement will be at the foul line. 20-14, St. Rose leads. 42 seconds left now in the first half. A 1-and-1 foul. First shot no good, rebounded by Schreck. And here comes St. Rose. Schreck up the far sideline into the corner, but she walked.
Appears that Celeste was trying to force in Lynn Schreck to use her left hand a little more, and at that time it caused a turnover.
Becky Taylor at the foul line. Leanna Douglas shot a bit short, rebounded by Gretchen Meyer, and Gretchen draws a foul. Both teams picking up quite a bit of fouls as the end of the first half draws near, and that could affect substitutions in the second half.
The action is fast and furious. And that type of play does result in a lot of fouls being called.
You see the score. St. Rose up by a half dozen with just 14 seconds left in the first half. Gretchen Myers foul shot, no good. Becky Taylor rebounds for St. Mary's. Clock running down now to 10 seconds. Clement into the lane. Bounce
Nice
pass
pass.
down low. Shot no good. And rebounded by Schreck. 4 seconds left. Down to 2 seconds. Schreck
Good
had it knocked
defensive
out of
play.
bounds.
Celeste knocked it out from behind.
And St. Rose will have 1 second left to get off the final shot of the first half. St. Rose up by 6 points. Roach just missed, and that's the end of the first half of play. So the action, as you mentioned, fast and furious. St. Rose up 20-14 after coming back from a first quarter deficit.
They got their running game together. And it may not be what you call your classic fast break, but they depend very much on Jeannie Saltis and Lynn Schreck. And between the two of them, they carry the ball to the basket. I didn't mean carry in terms of...
Saltis and Schreck, probably the two tallest players on the court, and how much of an impact has that had on the first half and the 6-point lead for St. Rose?
The biggest impact is that both girls can run very well with the ball. They can both dribble, they both rebound well, they both jump. That has a big impact because St. Mary's has got to get down the court a little bit quicker.
Well, St. Mary's controlled the first quarter of play. St. Rose, though, came back with a very strong second quarter and has built a 20-14 first half lead. We'll be back and speaking to Mike Preston in just a moment. You're watching the CYO Basketball Championships on New Channels, Cable 13.
Are you pregnant? Don't take any kind of medication unless prescribed by a physician who knows you're having a baby. A warning from the March of Dimes.
We are at halftime of the first game of our basketball doubleheader this afternoon, the girls' championship of the CYO basketball here in Syracuse. And at the end of one half of play, it's St. Rose 20 and St. Mary's 14. My guest at halftime is the athletic director of the CYO, Mike Preston. And Mike, this is somewhat of a bittersweet afternoon. A great event with a championship for both the girls and the boys, but the final championship.
The final is right. Over the years, we've come to know this as a great game and a great championship. But next year, with the reorganization of the junior high schools, the Catholic junior high schools, we'll go from 24 boys teams and 21 girls teams to 4 boys teams and 4 girls teams. We're hoping that today will be kind of maybe even go into overtime or a game that's going to be exciting so that we can live with it, thanks to you, New Channels and Cable 13, for the rest of our lives. But it is a sad, sad occasion. But the kids, hopefully, the parishes will pick it up and go with it as they have now. It would be a parish junior high program. Naturally, they'll still get the good Catholic education at the junior high schools, but they'll be able to get the athletics at the parish level, because with only 4 teams, that means out of 24, you have maybe 200, 300 boys and girls that have nothing to do at the junior high school. So hopefully the parishes, as I said, will pick that up and we can run with it. As far as cost, the cost will be the same. They have the uniforms, they have the basketballs, they have the coaches who are great, and they're all volunteers, believe me, and they do a wonderful job. And we're hoping, a letter will go out next week, that the parishes will pick that up and we can continue this fine reputation that we've started and the fine tradition that we've had in the past.
When we talk about this as an emotional day, I guess it's not the players who feel the emotion because they're 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, but it is the coaches that you've mentioned and a lot of the fans in attendance today who are really feeling the emotion of the afternoon.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, Shirley Pavetto, the girls coach of St. Mary's of Baldwinsville, has been with the program since the start of it. And today when she came in, we were talking a little bit, and she just broke into tears, and I can understand it. She's done a wonderful job with these kids. Maybe not always in the championship, but, you know, it's not always the championship kids that go on. It's the kids that learn something from these coaches about winning and losing in everyday life. And I think Mrs. Pavetto has done a wonderful job, as all our coaches have down through the years. And I'd just like to thank all of them for the wonderful time we've had with them.
And we're looking forward to an exciting second game and second half. That's coming up right after this short timeout.
We in Cuba love your baseball, but we despise your MTV. MTV is garbage. But I'm open to negotiations to be a VJ. Chicken. I am not an enemy of the USA, just MTV.
MTV. Some people just don't get it.
St. Rose 20, St. Mary's 14 after one half. We are set for the second half of action. And the opening tap controlled by St. Rose with that 6-point advantage.
Good block.
Lynn Schreck was blocked, but had a second try and put it in.
She now has 14 points. As we suspected, she's controlling the boards and putting the ball in the hoop.
Schreck with 14 of 22 St. Rose points. That obviously demonstrates her dominance. Becky Taylor with it for St. Mary's. Tried to pass to a teammate at the top of the key. Schreck there to take it away. But now an offensive foul whistled on Lynn Schreck.
That's her third foul.
Taking a look at the scoring rundown for St. Rose, Schreck has 14, 12 in the first half. Michelle Meyer had 4 points. Jeannie Soltis with 4. For St. Mary's, Clement with 5. Butler with 3. Taylor and Douglas with 2 each. Carilla and Donahue with 1 each. 22-14, St. Rose on top. Corilla missed for St. Mary's. Rebound by Roach for St. Rose. And here's Lynn Schreck. Right into the lane and drawing a foul on Becky Taylor. Taylor, second personal. Schreck inbounding underneath the basket for St. Rose. Spots Michelle Taylor wide open. Shot no good. Roach with a rebound. And now a foul on Becky Taylor, her second of the half and third of the ball game. That will be a 2-shot foul. And going to the foul line for St. Rose, Michelle Trait. After picking up those 2 quick fouls, Becky Taylor will go to the bench, and she's replaced by Leanna Douglas. Number 10 in the bottom of your screen. Michelle Trait at the line, looking for her first point of the afternoon. Foul shot around and no good. Trait missed both, and the rebound goes to Douglas. Dan Horde and Sharon Core with you this afternoon for the championship of the girls division. Douglas with the ball for St. Mary's. Fouled by Lynn Schreck.
It's her fourth foul.
And that could really hurt St. Rose. Schreck and the rest of the St. Rose team going to the bench as a timeout is called by St. Mary's.
I think Pete called the timeout, didn't he?
St. Rose, pardon me, with the timeout. And we'll see how he deals with the foul trouble.
Right. I'm sure that's what one of the things he wanted to talk to her about. And they really, I don't feel St. Rose can really afford to lose Lynn Schreck. She's
Lynn
really
Schreck has personally scored as many points as the entire St. Mary's team.
He may have to take her out for a little while and let her calm down and get her act together.
We have 4:42 left in the third quarter. And now if you're Shirley Pavetta, the St. Mary's coach, do you tell your team to try and take the ball at Lynn Schreck if she's still in the lineup? And she is not.
Oh, she's not in.
So that solves that dilemma. Good chance now for St. Mary's to try and get back into the ball game, trailing by 8. Schreck was replaced by Gretchen Meyer, number 12. Ball goes to Douglas. Shot on the way and good. And that quickly, St. Mary's cuts the margin to 6.
She has a nice follow through, Leanna Douglas. She really has a good crop of 7th graders. They've gotten a lot of playing time.
St. Mary's going to full court pressure now with Schreck out of the ball game. Michelle Meyer brings it up, gets it past the midcourt stripe. Here's Soltis with an open shot. No good. Rebounded by St. Mary's.
Diane Donahue, I believe, grabbed that rebound.
Got a travel called on Celeste Clement, and she did not like the call. Soltis, the tallest player on the court, playing like a point guard, bringing it up. A nice feed to Roach. The shot no good, though. Rebounded by St. Mary's. Pulled out of the crowd nicely by Tammy Carilla. Clement using the right hand to get past Meyer. Now Douglas with that night outside shot. It's good again. Douglas has 6 points. It is 22-18. St. Mary's within 4. Meyer tied up. No travel. It looked like she might have taken a step. Managed to get the ball over to Soltis. Soltis nicely dribbling into the lane and hitting the shot. Jeannie Soltis taking over with Streck out of the game.
Both players.
Soltis has 6. Douglas looking for a third in a row. That time no good, but Carilla there for the rebound. Back to Douglas.
And she hits again.
8 points.
She did 3 out of 4. Jeannie Soltis, I expected to pick up the slack.
And here we see Soltis again dribbling up the court, getting by 3 defenders. Now stopping and handing off to Meyer. Meyer traveled. If you're Pete Caroli, when do you bring Streck back into the ballgame with 4 fouls?
We're only in the 3rd quarter. If I were him, I'd have to have her out for a while.
Here's Douglas again with a shot. This time no good. Pulled down by Roach, but she's tied up, and we'll have a jump ball between Kathy Butler and Anne-Marie Roach.
Some players can play with 4 fouls because they learn to back off. And, of course, Pete knows his girls. He knows what they're capable of doing.
Carilla missed hard off the glass. Almost pulled down her own rebound, but then taken away by Soltis. Soltis bumped, lost the ball. We'll have a jump between Clement and Meyer. Soltis coming away with a loose ball, swatted away by Clement. And here's Leanna Douglas handing off to Clement. St. Mary's with the ball and a chance to cut the lead back to 2. St. Rose is led by as much as 8 points. Douglas missed the jump shot. Rebounded by St. Mary's. Douglas again with a shot. This time Soltis pulled the air ball down out of the sky and fouled by Diane Donahue. The 4th on Donahue. Shirley Pavetto looking down her bench. She may have to make a substitution for Donahue, and I think we'll see Becky Taylor very shortly. Now a steal by Carilla. St. Mary's with the ball again. Clement to the foul line. Bounce pass off the hand, but Donahue controlled. And Clement is fouled by Michelle Meyer. Becky Taylor returns to the lineup. Diane Donahue will sit down with 4 fouls, and St. Mary's will inbound from the near sideline. Becky Taylor dribbling and taking the shot. Had it on the line, but it was a bit too hard, and rebounded by Trait for St. Rose. Michelle Trait with the ball, trying to get it to Meyer. Almost knocked away by Clement, but Michelle Meyer races away with the basketball. Now another steal. And we're going to have a foul called, not a jump ball. A foul on Michelle Trait for swatting Clement on the arm. Michelle Trait called for the foul. St. Mary's will inbound. And the St. Rose contingent very unhappy with the call.
I thought it was a good call. She had possession. The girl came crashing in on her. It was unintentional, but it was a foul nevertheless.
Becky Taylor to Carilla. Basket good and a foul on Soltis.
And that will be her 4th foul also.
So now the co-captains for St. Rose, who have been the key players in developing the big lead at one point, Soltis and Schreck both have 4 fouls. St. Mary's has cut the lead to 24-22. And Tammy Carilla's at the line to try and cut the margin down to 1 point. Foul shot no good. Rebounded by Jeannie Soltis, and here she comes. Trying to do it herself. Had it knocked away. Leanna Douglas picks up the loose ball. Now we'll have an official's time called. It looked like Celeste Clement got either hit in the face or perhaps the right ankle.
She's
we'll have to
holding
wait and
her
see.
right ankle.
Head coach Shirley Pavetta looking at her injured point guard right now. It was hard to tell how she was hurt on the play. There was a scramble for the loose ball. And maybe she got kicked or twisted the ankle.
She might have gotten stepped in.
And it looks like Celeste twisted it badly, but she's able to walk under her own power, which is a good sign. Looks like she'll stay in the lineup. St. Mary's will call a timeout, a good move to give her a chance to have that ankle recovered.
Not only that, she has to have a timeout because when the coach goes out on the court to attend an injury, that player must come out unless the team prefers to use one of their own timeouts.
There was quite a bit of contact under the basket, which led to the injury on Celeste Clement. We'll have a chance to see it over again. See the scramble for the ball. Michelle Trait, number 20 for St. Rose, battling Michelle Meyer. And it looked like Celeste Clement also involved in the scramble. Leanna Douglas came up with a loose basketball, and that was the situation that resulted in the foul called on Michelle Trait, not in the injury on Celeste Clement. 24-22, St. Rose leads St. Mary's here in the championship. The final championship of the girls division, CYO, being held this afternoon at CBA. And it looks like Celeste Clement's still limping a bit.
She is.
Favoring the right ankle.
She's a gritty player. If she can stay in the game, she will.
Becky Taylor to Leanna Douglas, who's had the hot hand of the second half. Now Taylor trying to tie the score. Shot was long. She got her own rebound, and the score is knotted at 24. Becky Taylor racing back on defense. She's tied it at 24 apiece as the third quarter now is down to 50 seconds. Meyer's shot no good. Rebounded by Carilla, and St. Mary's can take its first lead since the first quarter. Looping pass intended for Carilla was long, and St. Rose will get it now with 34 seconds left in quarter number 3. Soltis with 4 fouls has not left the game. Lynn Schreck has been on the bench for most of the third quarter with 4 personals. Apparently, Pete Caroli decided he could live without one for a while, but not without both.
Nice shot, right out the deep corner.
Anne-Marie Roach with the bucket. St. Rose back on top by 2. 12 seconds left when that shot was launched. Douglas with a rebound. Second try, no good. And now a foul whistled on St. Mary's, and it looks like Celeste Clement is going to pick up that one. Foul was not called on Clement, but Catherine Butler instead. The second on Butler.
That puts them in the 1-and-1.
And Anne-Marie Roach will be at the foul line trying to add to St. Rose's 26-24 lead. In case you are just joining us, St. Rose is dressed in the white and red uniform. St. Mary's in the blue. This is the first game of a doubleheader, the CYO Championships. And in the boys' championship game coming up immediately after the conclusion of this game, we'll see St. Rose, also playing in the boys' championship, take on St. Charles. Anne-Marie Roach hits the foul shot. Last 3 points scored by St. Rose have been scored by Anne-Marie Roach, and they have a 3-point lead. 27-24, 7 seconds left in the third quarter. Roach averaging 5.5 points a game. Second foul shot missed long. Rebounded by St. Rose, though. Michelle Meyer chasing it down in the corner. Bounce pass for her sister Gretchen. And the clock expires as the two teams scramble for the loose ball. So St. Mary's has been able to get back into the ball game with a good third quarter, taking advantage of Lynn Schreck and Jeannie Soltis, each having 4 personal fouls.
We don't know how long he will hold out Lynn Schreck.
As we look into the St. Mary's huddle, we see all of the players on the squad surrounding head coach Shirley Pavetto. And glancing over at the St. Rose huddle, I see that Lynn Schreck has joined the huddle and is talking to head coach Pete Caroli, so maybe this is the moment when Lynn comes back into the ball game.
She'll have to be careful. The pace of the game, as I said before, does cause a lot of fouls.
When Lynn Schreck left the ball game, St. Rose led 22-14. Schreck had 14 by herself. Since that point, St. Mary's was able to tie the score with a 12-2 run, but now St. Rose has scored the last 3 points and leads 27-24. Pete Caroli and Alan Jones, the coaches for St. Rose.
The girls call Mr. Jones Uncle Al. When I was visiting with them on Thursday, I asked them, what is the best thing about playing basketball for St. Rose? And they almost in unison said, Mr. Caroli. So there is a definite affection for their coach. By the same token, Shirley was telling me that many times players that have played for her even 12, 15 years ago come back to see how she's doing. So when you start kids out at this level, they don't forget.
And it's the instruction and the coaching at this age that really determines who the excellent fundamental players are when they reach high school and even college.
Exactly.
Fourth quarter tap taken by St. Rose. Lynn Schreck back into the game, blocked nicely by Clement. Schreck came up with a loose ball after the block. Schreck dribbling with 4 personal fouls, had it swatted away by Clement, and then off the foot of Lynn Schreck, St. Mary's takes over. The view from behind the basket as Clement dribbles up the court. Once again, Leanna Douglas, who's had a sparkling second half with 4 long jump shots. And it's a 1-point game again, 27-26, St. Rose leading. And a 3-second violation of Anne-Marie Roach standing in the lane. St. Mary's gets it with a chance to take the lead. Leading scorers in the game, Lynn Schreck with 14 for St. Rose. Leanna Douglas with 10 points, 8 in the second half for St. Mary's, and she has the ball. Taken away by Jeannie Soltis. A 2-on-0 fast break. Soltis going in. And the shot rolls around. It's no good. Catherine Butler hustled back on defense for St. Mary's and may have bothered Soltis just enough to force that shot to be long.
I think Jeannie heard the footsteps coming behind her.
Douglas missed for one of a very few times in the second half. St. Rose coming up with a rebound. And now with 4:45 left in this championship game, St. Rose has the ball in a 1-point lead. Soltis missed the shot. Rebounded by Carilla for St. Mary's, and here comes St. Mary's. Celeste Clement no longer showing signs of the sore right ankle. Douglas off to Becky Taylor. Into the corner to Carilla. Turned and faced the basket, but walked with the basketball. We have no shot clock, so St. Rose can use as much time as it wants to with a 1-point lead and 4:15 left in the game now.
A high school and college game is played with a 30-second shot clock. the grammar school level, we chose not to use that. One reason being the cost, the other being that when you're teaching kids, you need more than possibly 30 seconds to develop an offense. Although neither one of these teams seem to be playing any kind of a delaying game.
That's for sure. Even with a 1-point lead as we draw toward the close of this game, St. Rose is still racing up and down the court. And I guess the old adage that you don't want to get away from what got you here is
right.
What both coaches will be thinking of. Jeannie Soltis was fouled last time down the court. She'll be at the foul line with St. Rose leading by 1. Soltis, one of 3 8th graders starting for St. Rose.
And all of these 8th graders will be going into the North Syracuse school system.
Soltis with a nice foul shot. St. Rose up by 2 now. Now Diane Donahue returns to the game for St. Mary's. Diane has 4 personal fouls, and she replaces Kathy Butler. Jeannie Soltis staring up at the basket. Foul shot on the way, and this time no good. Ball tied up underneath by Schreck and Carilla. Tap controlled by St. Mary's, but great hustle by Lynn Schreck, and we'll have another jump ball. Fans calling for a travel violation. It's almost like Lynn Schreck was diving for a fumble there and just held on to the basketball.
She covered it up. She didn't slide along the floor.
Schreck controls the tap, and St. Rose has the ball. Roach back to the foul line to Schreck. Here's Lynn's shot, and it's good. A big basket for St. Rose.
Lynn plays with a lot of confidence. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that she was going to put that shot up.
16 points for Lynn Schreck, and it's a 30-26 lead for St. Rose. Here's Douglas. Missed in the lane. Rebounded by Michelle Meyer, and St. Rose now with a 4-point lead and the basketball. Clock down to 3:15 and running.
Three seconds.
Number 11 is Celeste Clement, dribbling up the court. Clement able to force the contact, and Meyer will pick up the personal.
I think this game is going to go down to the wire. Both teams are in a 1-on-1 situation. Every foul is going to put someone at the foul line.
Clement shooting a 1-and-1. Her team trailing by 4. The shot no good, and a big rebound for Jeannie Soltis. Soltis has Schreck in front of her, but she'll take it all the way. Missed the shot, and a big rebound by Schreck. Second chance no good, and now foul getting another offensive rebound.
That last play showed just how strong Lynn Schreck is. Celeste Clement went up for the rebound, and Schreck came.
Lynn Schreck has already surpassed her scoring average, and this is one of the reasons why. Good, strong inside moves, and she's been very aggressive on the offensive boards. Able to pick up the rebound, even with 3 St. Mary's players around her, and that's going to result in the foul you see right there on Tammy Carilla. Timeout called by St. Mary's with 2:45 left in the ball game, and St. Rose on top by 4. Certainly much closer than the first time they met. 38-28. St. Mary's won back on December 4th. That game played in Baldwinsville, and this game on a neutral court with St. Rose on top 30-26.
Both of these teams had the opportunity to come in here yesterday and practice. St. Mary's came in at noon, and I believe St. Rose came in afterwards. And for the girls, it's one less thing that they have to worry about on a strange court. They practiced here. They knew the court.
have to say that St. Rose has more fans in attendance today. I think.
Well, St. Rose is the largest school in the parochial system. They have 550 students. St. Mary's in Baldwinsville is only around 220, so St. Rose is better than twice the size of St. Mary's.
And I certainly don't mean to suggest that St. Mary's has not had good support this afternoon, because they certainly have a loud contingent of folks sitting directly behind their bench. Schreck missed the first foul shot. Lynn gets another. 16 points for Lynn Schreck in the ball game. And the second shot's good. St. Rose up by 5. Schreck and Soltis have played the entire fourth quarter with 4 personals. And it's been crucial to their 5-point lead that they have not picked up the 5th. Douglas, who's been so hot in the second half, missing. Carilla there for the rebound, but Schreck pulled it out of her hands and now races down all alone. And the layup is good. Schreck with 19 points in the game. And now with just 2:20 left, it's a 7-point St. Rose lead.
It's Jeannie Soltis, fifth personal foul.
And that's the 5th on Jeannie Soltis. So she has to come out of the action, fouling out. She'll be replaced by Gretchen Meyer. So that could be an important development for St. Mary's, but it may be too little too late, trailing by 7. Celeste Clement at the line. See her lining up the foul shot. First one on the way. No good.
These two teams will meet again in the Diocesan Championship. Syracuse is the host city. Therefore, we send 2 teams, and both of these teams will go.
Clement missed both foul shots, and a nice outlet by Trayton to Meyer. Michelle lost it, though. Diane Donahue pulled it away, tied up by Roach, and will have a jump ball. 2:10 left. 33-26. St. Rose on top. Schreck comes away with the ball, and once again it is Lynn Schreck. She has just dominated this fourth quarter, and that
certainly has.
Appears to be the difference in the ball game. Lynn with 21 points. And remember, this is a 24-minute game, and Lynn sat out for most of the third quarter. Once again, St. Rose able to come up with a loose ball, leading by 9 now. And the clock definitely in their favor with just 1:42 left. Nice fake by Schreck. Shot on the way. No good, but rebounded by Roach. Taken away, though, by Becky Taylor. St. Mary's cannot afford to be sloppy with the clock down to 1:25. Clement with a nice move and a basket. 35-28 now. Clement has 7 points in the ball game. Nice dribbling by Schreck, getting away from the double team. Shot was blocked, but a foul called, and Lynn Schreck will go to the line.
Leave the fouls on Tammy Carilla.
The only positive thing about that foul is that it does stop the clock for St. Mary's with 1:08. Lynn Schreck at the line with 21 of her team's 35 points. Foul shot on the way, but bounced off the front rim and then off the backboard. No good. Schreck's highest point total this season was 25. That was against the Franciscan Academy back in January. Missed both foul shots. St. Mary's comes away with it. We're in the final minute of play now. St. Rose leading 35-28. Here's Douglas with a shot. It was short. Almost picked up her own rebound. Diane Donahue got it for St. Mary's. Douglas tried again. No good. Carilla off the glass. No good. Fouled before the shot, apparently. Tammy Carilla will be shooting 2, but I'm sure she would have much preferred the bucket. And they said the foul was before the shot, and that's why Carilla will take 2 foul shots. Now they had to change the call to a 1-and-1 foul because if she was shooting, the basket would have counted, and they couldn't award 2 foul shots. First shot, no good. Tied up, and we'll have a jump ball with 49 seconds remaining. Don't forget, shortly after the conclusion of this championship game, we'll have the second half of the doubleheader, the boys' championship between St. Rose and St. Charles. Now a foul whistled on St. Rose. That one on Anne-Marie Roach. Diane Donahue will go to the line. Diane has 1 point in the game. First foul shot, no good.
Diane got in early foul trouble, and it seemed to keep her from playing her normal game.
Second foul shot missed everything, and St. Rose will inbound from the sideline. St. Mary's wants time with 47 seconds left on the clock. And Shirley Pavetto sees her team down by 7 points at 35-28. Pete Caroli, on the other hand, in your picture, and with that 7-point advantage, just 47 seconds away from the parent championship. Been quite a year for St. Rose after opening the season with a loss to St. Mary's. Team has reeled off 11 wins in a row and almost up to 12.
Right. They had a 39-point scoring average, as we mentioned before. They gave up an average of 20, almost 21 points a game. But we can certainly see why Schreck has been their leading scorer all season long.
We talked about the combination of Schreck and Soltis, and as we look down the statistics on the season for St. Rose, in almost every game, with the exception of one, either Soltis or Schreck was the leading scorer. Lynn averaging 14.8 points a game in the team's 12 previous contests, and Jeannie Soltis with a 13.1 average. Schreck was the dominant player this afternoon, but when Lynn was on the bench in the third quarter with 4 fouls, Jeannie Soltis really assumed control to keep St. Rose on top.
Yes, she did.
Here comes Lynn Schreck, 35-28, St. Rose
They're
leading.
going to have to move the ball around, try to take some time off the clock. St. Mary's is going to have to foul in order to stop the clock.
St. Mary's had dropped into a zone defense. That's not going to help getting the ball, but the shot taken by Meyer and rebounded by St. Mary's. Now 18 seconds left on the clock. St. Rose on the brink of the championship. Clement's shot from the foul line was no good. Schreck with it. 8 seconds left. Clock running down to 5 seconds. Schreck looking to add to her already high point total. She's up to 23, and that's the ball game. A 23-point effort by Lynn Schreck, the difference this afternoon as St. Rose wins the CYO championship by the final score of 37-28. A great fourth quarter was the difference for St. Rose. St. Mary's actually outscored St. Rose in the first and third quarters, but in the even quarters, the second and fourth, St. Rose dominated the action. And you see the final margin on the screen, 37-28, a 9-point championship victory for St. Rose and head coach Pete Caroli. Don't forget, we'll be back with a second championship game. St. Rose, the boys team, taking on St. Charles. Both of those teams 12-1 on the season. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my color commentator in the first game, Sharon Core, for doing an excellent job. And thank you so much, Sharon. Your enthusiasm for this game certainly was evident on the telecast.
Well, thank you very much. And on behalf of both teams, St. Mary's and St. Rose, we certainly appreciate you people being here. This is extra special for the girls.
The final score in the first game, once again, St. Rose 37, St. Mary's 28. Stay tuned for the boys CYO championship coming up after this short break. You're watching New Channel Sports on Cable 13.
The coaches. The athlete of the week.
the events, and often a whole lot more. Hi, I'm Jack Morse. Join us each week, Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 o'clock for a look at the high school and amateur sport scenes on Cable 13.
This is Dan Hord back at Christian Brothers Academy. In just a few moments, we'll have the second game of this afternoon's doubleheader, the CYO Championships, and St. Rose will be looking for a clean sweep. The girls' team just defeated St. Mary's, and now the St. Rose boys will be taking on St. Charles for the boys' championship. My expert color commentator for the boys' championship game is Bill Pallone, the former head coach at Our Lady of Lourdes. And Bill, what will be the keys to this second game between St. Rose and St. Charles?
Well, I think it'll be St. Rose's big men, Fitzpatrick and Polfin, against St. Charles's guards, Kelly and Collins. Their press against the power game.
Both teams had 12-1 records this season, so we obviously have two excellent teams who worked their way rather impressively through the playoffs, and now they meet here for the championship. And we've talked a little bit in the first game about this being the final championship game. What will that mean to these two teams?
Well, I got to think of, down the line and trivia and all those things. I guess the league started back in 1929 and 30. St. John Evangelists was the first champion, so it'll probably be who was the last champion.
It will be either St. Rose or St. Charles, and we'll have the starting lineups in the opening tap right after this short timeout. You're watching New Channel Sports on Cable 13.